Hey guys, welcome back to Paranormal Puffs and Murderous Mixology Stuff. My name is Marissa and...
My name is Bob. Booyakasha.
Okay. Today we're back with another episode, and today is going to be the H.H Holmes episode that we postponed last week.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yes, and so this episode was actually recommended by... Bloop, just going to cut right in there with a voiceover real quick. I totally screwed this up in the actual podcast. So it was recommended by Doc Farted by the Hoof Hearted podcast. If you guys want to go check them out, they're really dope. It's spelled HOOFHEARTED. Bam! Okay, let's get back to the show, guys. So shout out to you, and thanks for listening as always.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What are you smoking today, Bob?
Nothing. I quit smoking. I can't afford it. And my life was turning into complete nonsense as a father and as a person and just all around. You know, I was really just 20 years of just degeneracy and loser behavior
Baby,
that has gotten
up.
me nothing in life besides delivering food to homeless people.
Oh my God, baby.
Back to you.
So if I told you I had some weed right now that I bought for you, would you want to smoke some?
Yeah, I love weed.
Okay, well, as for a cocktail, I would probably recommend a Blue Hawaiian today, even though I'm not drinking. Next week I probably will because I'm
You only know like 3 cocktails, by the way.
I feel like I've done plenty of cocktails since this has started.
No, I know, yeah. You go on the internet and stuff, but you only know like 3.
No, I feel like we used to drink Blue Hawaiians all the time when we first met.
That's what I'm saying. That's like your favorite cocktail.
Or like a Scooby snack. That
That's
sounds
your other
delicious
favorite
too. Yeah,
cocktail.
I love a good Scooby snack.
Yeah.
Delicious. All right. So let's get into the meat and the bones, right? Is that what it is? Meat and bones? Is that what they say?
Never heard that before.
Meat and potatoes?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes, guys.
You're listening to Paranormal Puffs and Murderous Mixology Stuff.
All right, so today's going to be the H.H Holmes episode. With that said, viewers' discretion is advised. There's everything that comes with this case. I feel like everyone maybe knows who he is, but if you don't, I would say...
You've been around the last 100 years, you might have heard of this person if you like true crime at all. I'm just going to say, one thing about this is that I feel it's tough to verify a lot with what's going on with this person.
Yes.
So if you want to, just skip to the end of this episode or turn it off. And by the way, this episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at Illegal Fireworks Stand. We live in a state where there's a ton of illegal fireworks, and they're way better than your state. We just moved here, and I've never seen shit like it is here. We live in one of those Go America type places where wherever you go, there's just fireworks left and right. And so this episode is brought to you by Illegal Fireworks. Remember, don't blow your fucking face off.
Your hand off either.
Or your hands, or your dick.
Or your dick.
Yeah, don't blow your dick off. You might one day use it. Probably not, but you never know. Back to you.
Thank you. So H.H. Holmes, he was hands down, I would say, probably one of the wildest murderers ever because he was one of the first.
Wasn't he like a pharmacist?
Yes, he
That's
was.
pretty cool, guys.
Yeah, he was actually a doctor, which is pretty
that's super
crazy.
cool. I think he was like not a real doctor though. I think he would back then you could just be like, yeah, I'm a doctor.
Well, he did go to med school.
Yeah, but med school was like some you just mail
because
something
it's the
in.
1800s.
Yeah, they mail it back to you and you're like, yep, I'm a doctor.
True.
And then medicine was just like basically no different than like a witch doctor.
True.
Or like basically what they do in China to this very day. It's the same shit.
God. You're so dumb. Okay, so back in the U.S., I would say he had like the perfect dreamland to be a serial killer. If you were going to be a serial killer, it would be in the 1800s to do it. So he was born May 16th, 1861, and it was like a dream come true for him because there was no tech, there was no awareness. It was just endless opportunities for him to get away with the murder, and he did. He was a seasoned criminal, and he used a bunch of fake names to keep out of trouble. So H.H. Holmes was not even his real name. His name was Herman Webster Mudgett. That was his real name. That's the name he was born with.
Oh, wow. That's super interesting. Tell me more.
Okay. So in case you don't know who he was, I'll just describe him really quick. He was a charming, good-looking, pathological liar.
I'm hard, are you?
He was a child killer.
Oh, no. I just lost my bone.
A cold-blooded murderer.
I'm hard again.
A rapist.
Soft.
Okay. A stalker.
Hard. Getting harder.
A businessman.
Getting harder.
A con man.
Very hard.
A doctor?
Hard like granite. My dick could cut through granite and diamonds right now.
A sadist?
I'm fucking coming.
And some say he was even an evil genius.
Oh,
Here he comes.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're so dumb. Okay, so...
Fuck, that was nice.
So Holmes came from a relatively wealthy family, and he was the third youngest of 4 children. He was born in New Hampshire, and he was raised as a Methodist. His parents were very abusive, especially his father. His father was an alcoholic, and he would use isolation and starvation as a punishment for the children.
Don't they all do that, though?
Well,
You know,
if that wasn't...
If you're an alcoholic and you have kids, like, it's pretty obligatory that you beat the shit out of them or you yell at them and be like, go to your room. And then you lock them in there for like a week and the police come and try to take your kids. And you're like, what? I'm a great dad. I'm a great dad. And your wife's just there smiling. The second you leave, you beat the shit out of everyone. You just slam some vodka again.
Well, if that wasn't bad enough...
Back then, it must have been way more common, too, because there was not much more to... It's like not like you had an iPhone to keep your fucking attention and dopamine just pumping.
Yeah.
You had to drink to beat your wife. You know what I mean?
You had to drink to beat your wife.
Yeah.
What about the kids, too? So, no, when the kids would get too loud, he would have towels that were soaked in kerosene, and he would put it over their faces to keep them quiet. So that's like how
I bet that shit worked.
Of course it did.
I'm going to try that shit.
Yeah.
Kerosene. Where do you get kerosene these days? Amazon? Does Amazon have any kerosene?
Probably.
Probably not.
Because I feel like you can get like, I mean, I don't know. Like, so half of the stuff that you'll find out like later when we read about, I'm like, where did he get this from? But at the same time, it was the 1800s. So I feel like you could just get it anywhere back then.
Yeah, they had like a candy store where they do like those old time candies. You know what I mean? Where they stretch it all on the thing. Like you've seen in those like history videos type thing. Yeah. And then like literally in the lobby, they're just selling kerosene as well for you to like soak up rags to put over your kid's mouth so you can
they probably advertised it on in the commercials too.
Yeah, they didn't call it kerosene. They called it like sleepy time medicine. And there's like a kid on the
it was like melatonin for them back then.
Yeah, exactly.
The old day.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Kids Melatonin. If you can't put your kid to sleep, give them melatonin. Yeah. It'll help.
Yeah. And the first ingredient is kerosene. So his home life was rough, and so school was rough for him as well. He had a hard time making friends, and he got bullied a lot. One of the major turning points in his life was when some of the older kids from school chased him into a doctor's office and made him face one of his fears, which was skeletons. They ended up like putting the skeleton that was in the doctor's office all over his body and stuff like that.
Exposure therapy. And that really worked for him, I can see.
Yes.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden after that, he loved skeletons.
Yes. And after that, he said it cured him of his fear. And
that was pretty nice of them, huh?
And it sparked his interest in medicine. And that's why he basically wanted to be a doctor.
That's super nice of them. Wow.
Yeah, so in order to escape his home life, Holmes would hang out in the woods behind the house, and you know what he would do back there?
I don't know, but I'm just thinking about bullying and how it's pretty beneficial in society.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
I mean, I understand what you're saying to a certain extent, because I feel like how everything is going these days.
This episode is brought to you by bullies.
Oh my God, you're
Without bullies, there'd be way too many pussies, and people would just be making bad choices all the time.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we let happen.
TikTok now, it's just like people complaining. I'm like, you never got bullied. I think that's what happened. And
yeah,
now
because some teacher stepped in that never got bullied and was like, "Hey, don't tell him that his hair looks odd." Yeah. And then that kid just is like, then the teacher goes up to the kid and just like, your hair looks amazing like that.
Yeah.
And then the kid just wears his hair more fucked for the rest of his life. You know, and I didn't grow up like that, man.
Oh, no.
You know?
No, you got bullied super hard.
Yeah.
For sure.
Rightfully so.
Everyone got bullied.
Yeah.
And it's like you were either like the bully or you were getting bullied. And I got bullied, and I feel like your school was just like everyone. But my brother was like the popular kid in school, and he was definitely the bully.
Popular. That must have been a stupid school.
Yeah. No, he was an athlete.
Yeah, the Special Olympics, maybe.
Oh, my God. Be nice. Be nice, babe. So anyways, he would hang out in the back of his, babe, shut up. Be nice, please.
Athlete, my asshole. My asshole's a better athlete.
He sets a record for our high school.
In what? Being a dick face?
No, well, babe, okay, I'm not gonna. Anywho, so he would hang out in the woods behind his house, and there when he started experimenting on animals. He began experimenting on lizards and frogs, then he moved to bunnies, cats, dogs. He obviously killed them, and he kept some of the remains, mostly their skulls, to later look at. Aside from being a loner, Holmes did have one friend named Tom. Tom was a little bit older than Holmes, and he would often share his treasures of the animal skulls,
That's
cat
adorable.
paws with him. And cat paws, is that not weird? Like paws from the cats that he would kill?
That is straight adorbs.
So you want to hear something that's not adorable? So this
Let
friend...
me guess, he used to beat off with his friend.
No. So his friend Tom lived in the same neighborhood as him, and one day they were exploring an abandoned house, and Tom fell to his death from the upstairs landing. And people speculate this might have been his first killing.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy.
Yeah. After graduating high school with an honors degree, Holmes went on to go to the University of Michigan, and he earned his medical degree. To pay for med school, Holmes married a rich woman named Clara. She was the daughter of a wealthy farmer.
Respect.
Yeah. And he basically only married her for the money, they say. They ended up having a son, and it was said that he would often ignore them, and he was often very violent to Clara. While in med school, they would often practice on cadavers, and Holmes saw this as a business opportunity, as the school was always in need of cadavers. He began stealing the dead bodies from graveyards and selling them to the school.
Yeah, that reminds me. You have like two sets of serial killers. Like the first set and, just people like that in general, degenerates. And the first set is like not very bright, and not very organized. But the second set, which is like a lot of serial killers, are pretty bright and organized. And even though like they spend like 90% of their lives like beating off with blood on their hands, like the other 10%, if they would have just made that like
Their focus.
yeah, they'd be really successful people.
Yeah.
And like pretty bright individuals overall. They just are channeling their energy into their cocks and like killing people so they can bust nuts.
I feel like one of the examples proving the other point would probably be like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, but I think he was pretty bright too.
Well, no, I feel like he got kicked out of the military. I feel like he didn't
Just for
finish,
drinking though.
Well,
And I don't know, like I'm just kind of talking on
I
my
feel like
ass from
everything
like a series I saw.
wasn't it like everything that he did, he was just like kind of a failure.
I think but I think he was relatively like bright enough. Like he just didn't care about anything. You know
So
what I
you think
mean?
that if he would have like have channeled his energy, he would have been like super successful in life?
No, not necessarily.
See, I feel like H.H. Holmes is the example that you're talking about because I feel like he was actually
or
really
like Ted Bundy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like the opposite would probably be like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Also, like, what percentage of serial killers are male?
I would probably say, do you know this one? I actually have a serial killer book, which has all these different facts in it.
Oh, yeah, that sounds... Yeah.
I'll post it on our Instagram.
You should just consult the internet. Let me consult the internet for you guys while you keep talking.
By the way, if you guys want to follow us on our Instagram, it's at Paranormal Puffs. Just at Paranormal Puffs. And if you guys want to email us, it's paranormalpuffs@gmail.com.
Why would you do that?
Well, if you're like Fred, you might just want to say hi.
Hey, Fred.
Or if you guys want to show us or tell
Hey,
us
Fred, what's up, dog?
right?
What's
or
up? What's up, diggity dog?
if you guys want to tell us your scary stories, or if you guys see any crazy Reddits that you want us to read, please send them our way.
85% of the serial killers in the United States are male.
80.
I was going to say 90.
I was going to say 80.
I was going to say 90, and even I think that is low because, like, I think some of the women that they count as serial killers, like, you'd be like, that ain't shit.
That's not a real serial killer.
That ain't real. You ain't real.
So I forgot where I left off at, but
Just
basically...
skip to the end.
No. So basically he began
he
stealing
killed
dead
everyone. The
bodies.
end.
He began stealing dead bodies from the graveyard and he was selling them to his school. Once med school was paid for, he ended up abandoning his wife and his son, and he went on to get his med degree. Despite having his MD, he was working as a teacher and struggling to pay his bills. He devised a plan to fake his death and claim insurance fraud. He originally planned to use a cadaver in order to fake his death, but he was having issues of finding a cadaver that looked like him. So he called up his good friend from medical school, killed him, used his body to collect insurance fraud. But guess what? This was a lie. You know why this was a lie? Because during this time, they actually looked at the guy that he said, which was Robert Lee Koch. And isn't that a great last name?
Yeah. By the way, like, how many people out there know someone with the last name Cox?
Cox.
That last name always
Cummings.
cracks me up. No,
Cummings.
Cox especially.
Your mom said she wanted to date a guy, but she didn't because his last name was Seaman.
Yeah, and his first name was Big Dick's Pumps. And so that would have been really weird. It wasn't just the last name.
It was just the whole name.
Yeah. By the way, this episode is brought to you guys by Cialis. If you're soft and you have a wet noodle, turn it into a big piece of hard rock. Pop a Cialis and listen to our show. Maybe you'll bust a nut.
So back to the story. So Robert Lee Koch was still alive during that time, so they knew that that was a lie, that he didn't murder him. Despite that being a lie, they think that's the reason why he ended up changing his name is because he was committing a lot of insurance fraud during that time, and he was just always one step above the game. So
Yeah, you got to be really smart about your insurance fraud, huh, guys?
well, not back in the day. He was committing insurance fraud.
It must have been easier back in the day,
Oh,
too.
for sure. I mean, this was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It was right before this time that he met another woman named Myrta Belknap, and he married her and had a daughter with her.
Ow!
What?
I just stubbed my toe. I'm going to collect some insurance. You saw that, right?
I was like,
that was
what
on
the
tape,
fuck?
right? You saw that
You're
shit?
so dumb.
You saw what just fucking happened, right?
You're so dumb, babe.
I'm going to
I was
fucking...
like- I
and
was
I'm
like-
suing the guy who owns this piece of shit house, too.
You're so dumb.
You saw that. Everyone saw that, right?
No, I just saw you like
Guys, you
sit
saw
there
that?
and just say "ow." Like none of your. I didn't see like a jerk back or anything.
Well, fuck. All right, never mind. I'm going to use that audio, though, for that. Don't remove the timestamps and all that shit later, okay?
Okay, babe.
All right.
So, anyways, they ended up moving to Chicago and he took a job as a pharmacist under his new name. Shortly after, with the money he made from his insurance fraud, he would go on to buy his hotel, which was later deemed the Murder Castle. He renovated it with the intention of it being used to torture and kill his victims. The building finished in 1892, and to build it in complete secrecy so nobody would know the layout of it, he would hire builders and fire them shortly after. This also worked in his favor because he didn't pay them. So, what was the hotel like, you may wonder? Well, as a hotel guest, you might ascend a staircase and discover it leads to a dead end. Upon opening doors, you would encounter solid brick walls. Inside a bedroom, the scent of gas leaking in might strike you, and upon trying to escape, you might realize you were trapped. Even if you managed to unlock the door, navigating your way out of the building would prove to be challenging. Soon enough, you would meet your terrible fate. Most of the rooms on the third floor were comfy and unassuming, but finding them could be a challenge. They were spread out in a maze of narrow hallways with dim lighting from far apart gas lamps on the wall. You would come across dead ends, staircases leading to nowhere, and locked doors only Holmes could open. Next to Holmes's personal office was a locked room with a walk-in bank vault fitted with a gas pipe, controlled solely by Holmes through a secret panel in his bedroom closet. The second floor was even more puzzling, boasting 51 doors and 6 hallways. While 35 rooms were standard bedrooms, others were either airtight with asbestos-coated steel plates.
Airtight, that's like you.
No, or soundproofed. Some were tiny with low ceilings, resembling closets more than anything. Most of these rooms were linked to Holmes's control panel in his closet via gas pipes and had unique peepholes. Alarms ready to alert Holmes would go off if anyone attempted to escape. The cellar had a creepy dungeon vibe with its brick walls and dim lighting, and the assortment of equipment stashed inside just made it more chilling. Holmes had an acid tank, quicklime vats, a dissecting table, a surgeon's cabinet, and even his own invention called the elasticity determinator. He said it could stretch and test subjects to double their height, imagining it would breed giants.
I wonder what that could do to someone's pussy.
Ew. Because I actually had the visual when you were doing that, because like you would probably have like the lips of it like stretched and ugh.
Yeah, I'm going to buy one of those.
I feel like they
And
already
couple it
have
with a
like
fuck
some
machine.
of that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I feel like there's like already like some type of like sex device where it like spreads the vagina like wide open.
Nice.
Oh, isn't it gaping? Don't you like to watch that kind of porn, babe?
No, your mom does. Your mom used to be in that type of porn, and I just happened to stumble across it and show you, and then I was like, oh, yeah, this is not that bad.
Yeah.
Because you were crying, and you're like, oh, my God, I can't believe my mom does gaping porn.
You think my
And I
mom
was
does
like,
gaping porn?
it's not that bad. It's a new thing, and so on and so forth. That's what happened.
Oh, right.
Go on.
Well,
Speaking of gapes, go ahead.
yeah, speaking of gapes, when the cops stumbled upon the contraption, they likened it to a medieval torture rack. In short, the upper floors were used for torturing his victims, and the basement was used for disassembling his victims. All throughout the house, he had chutes that were lubricated with grease, and he would throw his victims down them, and it would automatically lead straight down to the basement. In the basement, he would often strip them of their flesh or cremate them. His crematorium was disguised as an oil furnace. In one of his vats he had it filled with bleach. You know why?
Yeah, so you could clean some shit up, dude.
Yes.
Duh.
So he would
Why else
basically
would you have vats of bleach
No,
around?
listen. So he would bleach their bones, and then he would still sell them, like assemble a skeleton and sell it to the medical schools for like skeletons. And some even say that like these skeletons still exist in certain schools to this day, which is kind of creepy. If he didn't do that, then he would sell partially dissected bodies of his victims to medical schools for the students to use as cadavers, or he would sell their specific organs and body parts. He was able to do this as he had a dissection table and surgical equipment needed to remove the flesh from their bones and scrape out their insides. If he was not able to sell their bodies or their parts, he would then incinerate their remains in the cremator or dissolve their body and parts in the vats of acid. I felt like you were about to say something.
No, I was dozing off here.
You don't think that's like, have you already read about him before?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I was about to say, this was kind of like my deep dive on him, so I did find this a lot like all of these facts like new, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. But honestly, most stuff is new to you. Like, you know.
True.
Yeah, really.
Very
You're
true.
very, like, you don't know about really much.
Baby, shut up.
No, you know what I mean. Just when it comes to knowledge
Anything.
or information.
Oh my God, shut up.
You know.
Before killing some of his victims, including some of the women he was actually engaged to, women who refused his sexual advances, employees, or people who checked in at his hotel, he would sometimes take out insurance policies on them and make him the beneficiary.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of the
Sketch.
only... I didn't really know that part about this guy, like all the insurance fraud. And like I like that type of stuff.
You like a good fraud.
Like I totally support that. Yeah, I don't like defrauding individuals, but like governments, corporations, insurance, that shit's pretty dope.
Yeah. So he, like, I even read in like one of the sources that like if you wanted to work for him, you had to have an insurance policy with him as the beneficiary. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's like when you go to start a job and you're just like, hey, I'm just here for an interview, and they're like, yeah, we know, but here, just sign this,
All you have to
so
do
I'm
is
your
this.
beneficiary. I'd be like, fuck that.
That's sketch.
But okay, I
Yeah,
just want to
sure.
deliver the pizzas, sure, and then give me the $10, and then before you know it, you're fucking dead, and he's got $1 million.
I know, that's fucking insane, right?
No, that's pretty crazy, yeah.
So as for the torture, there was many different ways that he would torture his victims. The castle had a vault that would slowly fill with acid. There was a perfectly etched footprint on the door, which many believe means the victim tried kicking the door open to get out. Another room had no doors and could only be entered from a trap door that was located on the ceiling. Once the victims were dropped in, they would starve to death. If that wasn't bad enough, H.H. Holmes made sure to make this room pitch black, so you literally could not see anything. Circling back to his torture device that we mentioned earlier, he would place them on this device and stretch them out until their bones would pop out of their sockets. As I mentioned before, a lot of the rooms in the castle were soundproofed, and he did this by lining them with iron. It was suggested that one of these rooms were used to burn his victims alive, as police officers found evidence of a fire. Some rooms had gas in them, and he would gas them alive. He would also strangle some of his victims. Investigators named one of the rooms the hanging secret chamber, because apparently he would sometimes knock out some of his victims with chloroform, and then he would strangle them in this room.
Nice, yeah, that's a good technique.
Oh my God, babe.
If you're into that kind of thing.
If that's your thing.
Yeah, I've heard
strangling.
where do you even get to the chloroform?
I'm telling you. Well, he was a pharmacist, so I think he had a lot of...
Have you ever seen like
things at
old
his
timey like
disposal.
surgeries where they like put that mask on you and like pump stuff, because they didn't like inject you with stuff. It was like some kind of an opiate. It's in like a lot of movies, and that's like what they used. It's
Unfortunately, I don't know what you're talking about.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like doctors would just become addicted to it because they're like,
Oh,
shit.
are you talking about laughing gas, baby?
No,
No?
I'm not talking about laughing. I'm talking about way before that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't a gas. It's like some kind of like an opiate type spray. It might even be like opium, like an opium.
Oh, maybe it was that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyways, if you guys have any of that stuff looked fun. Even the
it to our
doctors,
P.O.
the
box.
doctors were just like, that looks so much fun.
Yeah, I have to do
that
it.
I'm
Fuck
gonna
it.
get addicted to
Yeah.
that too. And that's how you know that shit was fun.
Yeah, when it's worth like ruining your whole life over it.
Well, no, I mean they didn't ruin shit. They just performed better surgery. They were like a little tired, but they were more into it. 'Cause
Yeah.
before they were thinking about their life and shit. Like, fuck, this fucking dead guy. I didn't mean to kill him.
Oh no,
shit.
shit. All right. So later on during his killing spree, he realized he could use sex as a motive to kill. So towards the end, he would specifically focus on kidnapping, sexually assaulting, and then killing women. So this goes into, do you know about Benjamin Peitzel?
No, I know about Benjamin Button though, where he got old kind of thing, and then he like went back and he saw.
No, not that shit. No. So Benjamin Peitzel, he was an inventor, and unfortunately, he ended up crossing paths with H.H. Holmes. They actually became business partners, and during the process, H.H. Holmes convinced him to take out a life insurance policy on him. They said that they would fake his death, and Holmes would be the beneficiary, and they would split the money 50-50. But instead, Holmes ended up killing him, and he did that by like binding him up and lighting his body on fire. So that was a really painful death for him.
That was like a big bummer.
But you know what the real bummer was? He didn't think the plan all the way through because Benjamin actually had a family and a wife and children. He was like, oh, fuck, they actually have, they'll get the money too. So he was like, well, now what do I do? So anyways, he talked to his wife, and her name was Carrie. And he said, I'll take 3 of your children. I don't know why he didn't take all 5, but he said, I'll take 3 of your children. You take the other 2, and we'll meet in Canada to reunite you with Benjamin. And she was like,
not
okay.
Benjamin Button.
And she was like, okay, that sounds dope. Let's do that. Sadly, this would be the last time she would see some of her children alive again. Holmes took Howard Peitzel, an 8-year-old boy, along with his 2 sisters named Nellie and Alice.
That's who Nelly was named after, the rapper?
No, babe.
Stomping in my Air Force 2s.
No, babe. So Holmes decided to murder the boy first, and he ended up burning his body, cutting it up, and then he placed it inside of a chimney in a home in Indiana. Holmes now only had the 2 girls, and he allowed them to write letters. The thing is, he never sent the letters out, even though he said he would. The letters contained information about like their whereabouts and basically said, oh, like we're sick at the time and we don't know where our brother is. He's no longer with us. Just stuff like that. After a while of traveling, Holmes got the girls naked. He placed them in a trunk and he filled it with gas. People unfortunately speculate that the girls were sexually assaulted. And it's really unfortunate because they were really young.
Yeah, that sucks. Can't really joke about that.
Yeah. He ended up burying the bodies in the ground. The insurance company was suspicious about Benjamin's death and hired a private investigator to solve the mystery. Authorities arrested Holmes in Boston for insurance fraud. So he finally got arrested for insurance. I wonder, like, what about this one made them
it's
be
like Al Capone. They're like, we'll just get you for tax evasion.
Yeah, but I was
That's
just like,
the main thing.
He was committing insurance fraud like for like years. I wonder what it was about like this one. Or
one day
like,
it catches up to you. You just fuck up once.
Yeah.
It
was just like one too many.
Yeah.
So Holmes admitted that it was fraud and that he burned a body, but it wasn't Benjamin's body that he burned. He actually just stole a body from the graveyard and used that as like, I guess, like the body to present to them. So he did go to jail for that. And while he was in jail, he decided to write a book about himself. They say by reading this book, you can see how charming and well-spoken he was and how easy it was for people to fall for his lies because he was such a smooth and compelling talker. He went on to become a top-selling author. Did you know that?
Yeah, of course.
You knew that?
He wrote that one book.
You're so dumb.
No, didn't he write Gone with the Wind, it's called?
No.
Okay, Joe Dirt, the screenplay?
No.
Okay, then no, I have never heard of the book he wrote.
Okay, so moving on, the private detective, right?
What book did he write? I'm sure you know.
Sure, I can pull it up real quick.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Meanwhile...
Which is like, that's a pretty silly fact. Like, did you know he
I'm
was
just saying, he
very
became,
successful
he
author,
became
like
a
nationally
top-selling
acclaimed
author
on the New York Times
because
bestseller
you told
list?
me that no one gives a fuck about the small details. So I just...
I just shove them all in there, shove them down your throat, and just keep reading them one after one after one after one.
You said no one gives a fuck. So
I don't.
So I stopped. You said, why do I have to give the names of the people? I'm like... You said you don't have to give first and last name, so I tried to really keep it short.
Listen, I'm trying to make this shit nice and tight.
Okay.
Everyone wants nice and tight.
Okay.
A nice, tight package. Am I wrong?
Okay.
Am I wrong?
That you want a nice tight package?
That's what everyone wants these days.
Okay. Meanwhile, the private detective found the unsent letters from the girls. The letters served as a good documentation for their whereabouts during their traveling time and when they were under Holmes' authority. The authorities found the girls' bodies and knew they were dealing with something more than just insurance fraud. Philadelphia ended up taking him to trial for the murder of Benjamin Peitzel, and he was declared guilty. He was sentenced to death.
Yeah. And that's when the death penalty mattered. Not like now.
He was hanged on May 7th.
Was he hanged or hung? I always get confused on this one.
You told me.
No, I get confused.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I have to
me.
consult the internet on this.
You told me that when it's a body, like a person,
That's
that
what
it's always hanged.
I believe that to be true.
I said hanged.
Write in. Let us know, people.
Is it hang or
I don't know.
hung?
Yeah, let us know. Do you hung?
Because I used to say it was
hung?
the other way. Then you're like,
He's
you're
hanged.
saying words wrong again.
Well, no. I mean, yeah, that's a big habit of yours. But I just think... yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm going to go with, what I said previously, but let us know.
So, okay.
If you have the internet.
So he was hanged on May 7th, 1896 at 34 years old. Holmes confessed to 27 murders and later confessed to more than 130 murders, but some believe that his actual count could be as high as 200 victims. His murder castle was burned down in 1895 before his death and was still standing until 1938 when it was torn down. The site
I think
is
it is
now
hanged.
Oh, you Googled it?
Yeah, but I'm seeing different things. But yeah, I think
personally
that's
prefer.
correct.
Yeah, I don't like it.
There's a Reddit thread that says hanged is for death by hanging, whether by execution, suicide, accident, or another means. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Cool.
Don't write in.
Don't write in. The site now is remade into a post office where his death castle was. Anything that you would like to add? That's the end. I know you were not so excited about this episode.
No, I was pretty excited to get it over with. Just kidding. I had a good time. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for calling. Thanks for following us on Instagram. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a good episode. We look forward to doing this with you guys every week. I know sometimes I have negative energy, but it's not towards this or the podcast. It's just me as a human. And I hope you guys have a great week.
You're talking about last week's episode.
Yeah, I was ready to quit this shit in life, but
we're doing better now.
Yeah, well, I mean, for today.
Oh my God, babe, shut up.
Anyway, hope you guys had a good holiday.
Yeah, happy 4th of July.
If you accidentally lit your neighbor's house on fire, blew your daughter's kid's finger off, it's a bummer. You always have next year. Thanks so much.
All right, bye guys. See you next week.